Once you have twins, you already know that conflict is basically a full-time job in your house. The real goal, though, isn't to referee any kind of argument that they're having. It's to eventually work yourself out of that job entirely. Today, we're talking about how to teach twin conflict resolution so kids can work it out themselves.
Welcome to the Dad's Guide to Twins podcast, the podcast that'll help you survive and thrive as a father of twins. Now, here's your host, the author of the book, The Dad's Guide to Twins, Joe Rawlinson.
Hey everybody, this is Joe Rawlinson. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad that you're with me today. As always, you can find me on the web at dadsguidetotwins.com, where you'll find all previous podcast episodes, as well as tons of resources to help you along your twin parenting journey. A great way to support the podcast and Dad's Guide to Twins is to visit my merch store at twintshirtcompany.com, where you'll find unique designs specifically for twin families like yours. Okay, let's talk about conflict resolution for your twins. Teaching your twins to negotiate and compromise with each other on their own is one of the best long-term investments you can make as a twin dad. It takes patience and consistency up front, but the payoff can be huge. Twins are actually at a developmental advantage when it comes to learning negotiation and compromise. They have a built-in sparring partner from day one, which means more practice than any singleton child can get. Research published by the Early Childhood Education Journal found that children with siblings, especially close-in age siblings, like twins, develop social negotiation skills earlier because they face peer-level conflict daily and have to navigate it repeatedly. As you know, twins take that to a whole nother level. More opportunity for practice also means more arguments. That's just the reality. You probably noticed that. But when you frame those conflicts as training sessions rather than emergencies, everything starts to shift. The biggest mistake that most of us as parents make is we jump in too fast. Your twins start arguing over the TV remote or a toy, who gets the preferred seat in the car, which movie to watch, and your instinct is to step in and solve it immediately. I get it. It's loud, it's exhausting, and you've got approximately 47 other things going on. But when you always solve it for them, they never learn to solve it themselves. Your goal is to become a coach, not a referee. There's a big difference. A referee makes the call. A coach teaches the players how to make the call themselves. According to research from the American Psychological Association, children who are consistently allowed to work through sibling conflicts with parental guidance rather than parental intervention, develop stronger problem-solving skills and better emotional regulation over time. That is exactly what we're going for as parents. Young kids, especially toddlers and preschoolers, often escalate conflicts because they literally don't have the words to express what they want or how to negotiate a solution. Your job in the early years is to give them that vocabulary. Some simple sentence starters to teach your twins. For example, I want to turn when you're done. Can we take turns? What if we do yours first, then mine? I don't like it when you do that. Please stop. Can we find something we both want to do? For example, your twins might both grab the same stuffed animal at the same time and immediately start pulling. Instead of stepping in to settle it, kneel down and quietly coach. Can you ask your sister for a turn? Then step back and let the words do the work. It won't go perfectly at first, but over time, they'll start reaching for those phrases on their own. The key is repetition. The more you model and prompt those phrases, the more natural they become. Eventually, you'll overhear your twins using them without any prompting, and that's a great moment. Once your twins are old enough to have a basic conversation, usually around ages 4 to 5, you can start introducing what I call the work it out rule. Here's how it works. When a conflict breaks out, instead of stepping in, you calmly say, I know you two can figure this out. Come get me when you have a solution. Then you leave the room, or at least pretend to. The first few times you try this, expect some chaos. Your twins might escalate, follow you, or insist they absolutely cannot solve it without you. Hold your ground. You can acknowledge the frustration without taking over. I hear you. That sounds really hard. I know you can work it out together. Your twins might actually surprise you here. For example, two kids who've been fighting over a single iPad might suddenly work out a 10-minute timer system completely on their own, simply because you stop being available to be the arbitrator. Kids rise to what you expect of them. One of the trickiest things for twins to understand is that fair doesn't always mean equal. This is actually a sophisticated concept, and it's worth spending real time on it. Your twins might argue that something isn't fair because one got something the other didn't. But fair means everyone gets what they need, not that everyone gets the exact same thing. For example, if one twin is afraid of the dark and gets a nightlight, but the other doesn't need one, that's fair even though it's not the same. A simple way to explain this to younger twins is saying something, for example, fair means you both get what you need. It doesn't always look the same. It may take a while for something like this concept to sink in, but once it does, it removes a whole category of arguments from your daily lineup. Research from PBS Kids supports this approach, noting that children as young as 5 can begin to grasp equity-based fairness when parents explain the concept in concrete, age-appropriate terms. The best negotiation lessons happen in the middle of real life, not during a calm family meeting. When your twins are in conflict, that's actually your best teaching window, even if it doesn't feel like it. So here's the 3 steps you can use to coach in the moment when it's required of your twins. Number 1, name what is happening. It looks like you both want the same thing, and you're both feeling frustrated. Number 2, ask, don't tell. What are some ways you could both get what you want? Let them generate the ideas. Step 3, step back. Once they have the possible solution, let them try it without your help. Resist the urge to fine-tune their agreement. Your twins might come up with solutions that you'd never think of. For example, 2 kids arguing over who picks the dinner playlist might spontaneously agree to each pick 5 songs and alternate nights after that. Let them own it. Their solution doesn't have to be the one you would have chosen. Let's be real. Sometimes negotiations break down and get physical. A shove or a grab, maybe a full-on WrestleMania-style grapple over a Lego set. This is where the rules change. Physical conflict always requires immediate parental involvement. The you work it out rule applies to verbal disagreements and standoffs, not biting, hitting, pushing, or hurting. Step in calmly but clearly, separate the kids, and let everyone cool down before any problem solving happens. Often when one of our twins was maybe hitting or biting her sister, we would remove her from that situation and say, when you act like that, you cannot play with your sister. When you act like this, you cannot be with us. Once things are calm, and that's when the coaching can happen. What could you have done differently before it got to that point? This circles back to the verbal tools and negotiation skills that you've been building and helps your twins connect the dots between communication and avoiding physical escalation. You don't have to wait for a conflict to practice negotiation. You can build low-stakes practice into everyday life. Some ways to do this include letting them plan something together or giving them shared responsibilities like chores or playing board games. Any kind of game that involves trading, taking turns, team strategy are a great way to practice negotiation and related skills. The more practice they can get in low-stakes situations, the better equipped they'll be when a real conflict pops up. Now, you're going to have to adjust your parenting strategy as the twins get older. What works for a 4-year-old won't cut it for a 10-year-old, obviously. So when the kids are young, 2 to 4, focused almost entirely on language and vocabulary. Model the words, prompt them gently, keep it simple. At this age, your twins mostly need you to narrate the situation and hand them the tools. Ages 5 to 8, you can introduce the work it out yourselves rule, coach the process rather than solving the problem, starting by teaching them the difference between fair and same. Let them practice in low-stakes situations regularly. By ages 9 to 12, you can step back further. Expect them to use the tools that you've given them independently and only check in after the fact. You can have conversations about why certain solutions work better than others. Introduce the idea of compromise as a two-way street where both people give something up. And when you get those teenage years, your twins should largely be able to handle their own conflicts. Your role shifts to being available if they want to talk it through, not as a mediator, but as a sounding board. Respect their process and their solutions, even when they're different from what you would choose. Here's the thing about raising twins. You're not just raising two kids, you're raising two people who will navigate their relationship with each other for the rest of their lives. The negotiation skills they build now don't just make your house more peaceful today, they lay the foundation for how your twins will handle conflict in friendships, in school, in work, and eventually in their own families or with their own partners. That's a pretty big return on investment for letting them argue it out over who gets the TV remote this afternoon. When you think about it that way, every conflict is an opportunity. The twins get double the opportunities. So there's always an upside. Have you already encountered fighting, arguing, conflicts between your twins? Have you had any success being the coach, helping them resolve those issues, helping them learn to resolve those issues themselves? I would love to hear how it's going with your family. You can drop me an email, joe@dadsguidetotwins.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram or X @twindadjoe, and I would love to hear from you. Today's show is brought to you by my merch store, twintshirtcompany.com, where you'll find tons of t-shirts designed specifically for us twin dads and our twin families. Head on over to twintshirtcompany.com. It's a great way to support the podcast and everything we do here at Dad's Guide to Twins. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.